Junkies. I will. Yep.
Good morning. Welcome to Screen Junkies Universe, where we answer the real questions about life, many of which I will not name here for a variety of reasons, including legal, moral, and ethical. I'm here to introduce Dan Merle.
This is the best intro we've ever done for the show.
And that was straight off the top.
Yep.
I know. We're starting today's show like we usually end most shows.
Joe.
Hi.
Star. Edgar Wednesday. I'm Roth Cornett. We got a whole bunch of jokers is our topic today. A RoboCop remake, which... And Indy 5 has been delayed. Harrison Ford is going to be a very old man by the time you see that movie. Let's start with the Joker. I think the theme of today's show is going to be the pros and the cons of the things. So the Joker origin story was officially revealed to be a go yesterday. This is via The Hollywood Reporter. Joaquin Phoenix finalized his deal. Obviously, we've been talking about this as the on-again, off-again Joker origin story over the last feels like years. It is going to be set in New York. It starts shooting in New York in September, which is great. I like that already. You know what? Let me not spoil the pros and the cons. Todd Phillips is directing the film and co-wrote the script with Scott Silver. The studio describes it as being a, quote, exploration of a man disregarded by society that is not only a gritty character study, but a broader cautionary tale. Okay. The project's budget is $55 million range, significantly lower than most tentpoles of this nature. The standalone is meant to be darker and more experimental in nature. Okay, it's going to come out in 2019, as early as late 2019. Let's get into the good and the bad of this. Now, you all know that this was revealed. We've said so many things about this already.
Yes.
Here's what I see as the pros in my mind. The budget, the experimental nature, the freedom, the liberty that gives the filmmaker to actually tell the story he wants to tell because there's less risk financially involved for the story. This is a standalone focused story, which in the DCEU I think is a good thing at this point in their trajectory. Love that Joaquin Phoenix. If anything, it's going to be an interesting movie. Potential cons and or not sure. Todd Phillips, interesting choice. Hangovers vary for me in terms of how successful I find them. He has a very particular directorial style that's very, very funny, but often kind of mean. That could work for the Joker. And we got a lot of Jokers, though. We got too many Jokers, Dan. What do you think?
Yes.
Oh.
I think we do. No.
We have solved it.
I've been very skeptical, very openly skeptical on this show many times that this movie would actually happen. I was kind of surprised to see that it got the green light. So it looks like full steam ahead. In a bottle, I'm intrigued by this. I don't know what to make of it, quite frankly. I really don't. Overall, as a broader strategy, I don't understand it just because it's not kind of like what Sony's doing with Spider-Man, where you have the MCU / Sony Spider-Man, and then you have an animated Spider-Man movie coming out. It's two live-action versions of the same character that you're running seemingly with all this Leto talk, perhaps in parallel with another movie about the same character. I just don't know how that's going to work, but this is odd. I like that the budget's low, $55 million.
Well, but it is relatively
relative to the superhero genre.
It's sort of in that genre. That's your Logan. That's your Deadpool. That's where you have the liberty to play and often yield and reap the rewards of that opportunity to be creatively liberated.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I don't know what to make of it. It's a very strange choice. However, Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor. He was great in a movie that came out this year called You Were Never Really Here, kind of as the exact thing that they're describing in the description of this, which is a man disregarded by society. That's a gritty character stuff. Like, that's what that movie was.
It's a great movie, by the way. One of the best this year, if you haven't seen it.
So, yeah.
Also, the Joker does show up, so you want to check that out.
Batman shows up at the end, so you should check sure. Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Intrigued. Okay, we have one intrigued. I am cautiously optimistic. There's more in my mind on the pro side than the con at this point. How about you?
Me?
You, Joe Star, with the wolves on your shirt.
Well, on one hand, there's a lot of wolves on this shirt. Almost as many wolves as there are cons for this movie.
Ooh, hot
hey, the different Jokers doesn't actually bother me as much because I think DC's bread and butter is that in their comics they never really quite know where they're going, and so there are 15 Earths with active Jokers.
Oh, yeah.
Recently, they even put all the different Jokers together into one reality and did a multi-Joker theory arc for Batman. Lots of Joker stuff happening in the comics. So, throwing different Jokers into the midst, I think DC can organically eventually have Crisis on Infinite killing jokes and have the Justice League fight all of their Joker movies at once. So lore-wise, it checks out. Con-wise for me, I don't care about the story anymore.
Of the Joker period.
I don't.
Yeah.
The Killing Joke was great and very much a part of its time, and I really think we've done exploration of a man disregarded by society to death. I don't know what else there is to really tell in a standalone Joker movie, unless they're doing something extraordinarily different.
Yeah.
But I based on anything we've heard about this movie, they're gonna go he was a struggling comedian. It just takes one bad day. Blah blah blah.
Does this hit very close to home?
No. God, I hope not. I don't want to have a day where I post off as ScreenJunkies, but I'm just not. Especially, blah blah blah. Movies are political. We have plenty people being disregarded in society or claim to be disregarded in society in real life right now, doing bad things, and I'm tired of romanticizing it at this point.
I can hear that take. So that quote from them, I think you're right. When Billy and I read that quote this morning, it was like, ugh, that could go either way.
Yeah.
And it's been rumored that they were going to base this off The Killing Joke, which I think, look, we've seen one adaptation of that, didn't go that well. But maybe it's not.
I think it'll play pieces of it. I don't know.
I think it's weird that they want to do something that is basically Killing Joke without Batman and Barbara in it. You know what I mean? That's basically what they would tend to do. You can't do a Batgirl getting shot or any of that stuff in a movie that hasn't even set up the lore. So this is some origin story from way back in the days of him, I don't know, in a gin mill or something. Whatever. And I just really believe, can I practice
for the Red Hood gang?
Can I practice movie fighting real quick? If I had to movie fight this as a real freaking thing, I would go, well, you see, fellas. What's interesting about what happened in the comic books is they tried to introduce the Joker as maybe 3 or 4 different people, but I suggest maybe they go farther. Maybe the Joker is a viral idea, much like the Grendel. If anybody knows about Matt Wagner's Grendel, there's a Grendel in 3330. There's a Grendel in 1500. There's Grendel all the time. Hunter Rose comes and he makes this viral idea, and all these different people adopt it, and it's almost like a Fallen situation, right? Where your enemy cannot die truly because the viral idea of this thing that's going to oppose Batman as the clown to his dark whatever that could be interesting.
Yeah,
that could be an interesting take. That isn't what this is. But I think, something like that could be cool, and that could play into this multiple Joker jazz as to the Jared Leto Joker could be a dead Robin. He could be all these different weird ideas that were introduced.
That are tied more to the lore, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's a question for both of you, because I think you're raising very salient points, and I appreciate it. By the way, Joe Starr is not only one of the funniest people ever, he's one of the nicest humans on the earth. So buy his record right now. It's on iTunes. That was
Wow.
apropos of nothings. Those are the segues we're getting today, folks. Strap in.
Phantom plugs.
Phantom plugs. Excuse me. Qui-Gon.
So here's my question to you guys, because I think it is interesting to look at it in the sense of they are proclaiming this is going to be a cautionary tale, and Joe, to your point a little bit. Does it make a difference for you if it's not romanticized, and instead it's the opposite of that? It's a thing that's a condemnation of that trope.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm using a lot of words.
Definitely. There's a challenge with these kinds of characters. It's easy to do them. I won't say poorly and well. I think it's a challenge of making sure the audience gets the right message. Breaking Bad is the story of an exploration of a man disregarded by society that is a gritty character study and also a broader cautionary tale. And depending on who you ask,
A lot of people thought Walter White was the
White's
hero.
the good guy,
Yeah.
and a lot of people are like, Walter White is human garbage.
That Skylar's a bitch. She won't let him sell meth in the house.
Yeah. And
Oh, God.
you know, I think that doesn't just speak to audience reaction. I think it speaks to how good of a story they told, where you can have a big gray area conversation because you liked Walter White so much. That's why that story endures, because we can still sit down and be like, Walter White's an amazing character. Is he the worst? Like, I don't want him to be, because he's the one who knocks, and I really, really like him. I don't know where I'm going with this now.
Well,
No, I think the
Um,
strength of Vince Gilligan as a creator, in terms of Breaking Bad, is that he was. I mean, for him, Walter White was the villain from day one. The minute he started making meth, he was the villain. That said, he is such a rich character that he confronts us on the things that we romanticize internally. I want to be the one that knocks. I want to have power. I want to have power over people. And there's a part of all of us that has that desire. That's the part of you that wants to connect with Walter. The part of you that wants to be a human in the world doesn't connect with Walter, and they eventually make it impossible because he's just shooting people in the face.
Well, he's gone too far. You get too far down the rabbit
He was,
hole.
he was
you
too
get-
far day one.
Yeah.
He
well,
was selling meth.
Well, I think there is a romantic.
Well,
Who hasn't sold a little
that's
meth?
fair.
I mean,
that's
to-
fair.
to-
Dan.
Everybody
That's
slung
fair.
a little meth.
No, you're right.
Well,
You're right. We've
but,
all done it.
But I don't
we
want
won't
to be.
throw our meth stones.
we had to finance Plus somehow.
You know what? You know what? Those who's never made meth, don't throw the crystals.
Well, yeah,
You're right.
I don't want to prop up criminality in any way, but everybody knows that
Don't
great
you?
empires, the Kennedys, Rothschild,
We know how
a lot
Roth
of
feels about
places,
empires.
right? A lot of these a lot of these places were born off of, as Chris Rock called it, the crack of their day,
Yeah.
which was bootlegging and things of this nature,
Or
or
opium.
slavery or something. I don't
Or
know.
opium.
You know, bad
And
stuff.
drugs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
drugs,
Yeah.
all kind of bad stuff. So I mean, yeah, I understand. Trust me, America definitely understands why somebody would do something bad for a little while.
Yeah, it's the
to,
Godfather
to
trilogy.
set up a cool
Yeah.
status quo.
It's the
America
Godfather
should
trilogy.
understand that. They should definitely understand that and be empathetic a little bit, I would think.
Yeah. What you got?
What do they do if this is really good? Like, what if this is amazing?
I don't
Joaquin
know.
Phoenix's
Excited.
take on this character is incredible.
I would be very excited for that.
What do they like? Dude, is this now? Is
Like, how
this
do they
now the
reform
Batman
this- yeah.
universe?
I would love to eat
do,
crow on
do
this,
They,
yeah.
Do they leave enough wiggle in Matt Reeves's thing to like go with whatever the winning Joker is?
Yeah.
Does Leto just go away forever? That's the thing.
That's
I
where I
wonder.
think your Infinite Earths come from.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Maybe
where
so.
I think you have the mystery of what Joker's the real Joker, and are there a lot of them? And
I definitely just hope that they're not trying to be too on the nose about what's happening right now, and like the Joker is like a pale, disfigured guy who can't get any, so he's like this incel that becomes the Joker or something. You know what I mean? Like just, and he's like searching alt-right blogs. And he's like, man, I'm being weaponized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no.
Time to put on lipstick.
yeah,
is
exactly.
a weird jump.
Like a glam rock alt-right monster or something. If they're trying to be really on the nose about disrespected from society, I think that could be
Is he
very
alt Bowie?
intriguing. Yeah. It'd be like Henry the Serial Killer, but like for now.
I hate that I want to watch all these pitches you keep coming up with.
Well, I'm just saying, I definitely would not root for that version of the movie. Trust me, I find that nauseating, and a certain caliber of person would look at even that and go, you know what? That guy speaks to me.
Well, but a certain caliber of person is looking at any version of this and going, that guy speaks to me. That's
Yeah.
just the reality of the world we're in. And the truth is, as a character, that character, the reason he's so iconic, is that he speaks to all of us on some level, right? We have that in us. We have that desire to watch things burn. You know, we have that rage. We have that desire for chaos. We just control it with different drugs. So RoboCop is going to get a sequel. Now, you might be wondering, what? They're going to make a sequel to that POS RoboCop remake? I'm mad. No, not quite. This is what they're going to do, and I still am on the fence about this one. This is via Deadline. MGM is developing a new installment of RoboCop set to be directed by Neil Blomkamp, who directed District 9, among other things, but we liked District 9, so we'll focus there. It is currently titled ROBOCOP Returns. Hopefully that will change. Here's what's interesting about it, because I don't know if you guys know this, but Dan Merle and I are 100% on one thing, and that is that ROBOCOP is a perfect movie. It is a perfect movie. Don't touch it. Don't remake it. We don't need your version. You don't know. It's good. Leave it alone. That said,
It is the Beyonce of dystopian future police films.
It is.
it is. It really.
It stands alone,
Yeah.
even though it's got a bunch of people
Yeah.
around it that
Yeah.
suck.
That is perhaps the perfect description. I would put that on the box. So here's the interesting part. Original writers Ed Neumeyer and Michael Minier are producing and executive producing respectively.
Which is cool.
Justin Rhodes, who co-wrote the Terminator film that Tim Miller is currently shooting.
I don't know if that's cool or not.
We don't know, but perhaps will rewrite the script that they wrote years ago as a planned sequel to Verhoeven's RoboCop. In other words, they wrote a sequel to Verhoeven's RoboCop. It didn't happen because Verhoeven didn't want to do it. So then the studio moved forward with the RoboCop sequels that we did end up seeing. So the studio came to them and said, quote, it came back around, this is Neumeyer talking to Deadline, it came back around when we got a call from MGM president John Glickman, tasked with creating franchise material for that studio. Right when Trump was about to be, hang on, it's in the quote. Right when Trump was about to be elected president, he called me and said, did you actually predict in your sequel script that a reality star would run for president and win? We said, yeah. So Mike and I wrote a draft and gave one interview in Barbados, and I think the only person who read it was Neil Blomkamp, and then it was set in motion. No release date is set for the film. Here's the deal. The perfect movie that is RoboCop could have been a very, very, very different film in another director's hands.
Yeah.
That is Paul Verhoeven's movie, 2,000,000%. Every piece of the brilliance in that film is due to the performances and Verhoeven's interpretation as a director of the material. That could have been a completely forgettable film. So to me, Neil Blomkamp, while I really love District 9, has had an uneven career since then. Elysium, Chappie, You Feel Me. I don't know, man. Pieces of me still feel like just leave RoboCop alone. Thoughts?
Leave RoboCop alone.
I am so not angry about this that it
Oh.
surprises me.
Huh.
And I was very virulently against the remake.
A Dan chill.
It is a little bit. I'll tell you why. Number
So,
one,
like,
Dan chills with wolves.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
excited.
Number one, I like. I've been lucky enough to interview Ed Neumeyer. He is still very much seemingly aware of what people liked about RoboCop and Starship Troopers, which he also helped develop and write. And the fact that he's not just an executive producer, but a producer of this movie, which if you don't know the difference, like executive producer is what you would give a title to somebody. Like if you're just going to grab their script and rewrite the hell out of it, you give them an executive producer credit, which basically means like, hey, here you get some money and here's the thing, and you had something to do with this. But the fact that Ed Neumeyer is on board as a producer, which is much more hands-on, much more involved in the day-to-day of what's going on, I think that is a plus for me. I agree that Neil Blomkamp has been very spotty, but his style I really like. It's just been the content that I've not been a fan of. So the X factor here is Justin Rhodes, who I was looking has like 12 projects in development. It's like this.
It's good
and
to be
Masters
Justin
of the
Rhodes right now.
Universe, Green Lantern Corps, the new Terminator movie, and I like his last screenplay was like 5 years ago. So he's the X factor. I don't really know any of this guy's work, but he seems to be getting a lot of work right now. That can be very good. That can be very bad. Who knows? That's the X factor, obviously, because like we talked about, RoboCop is a perfectly told story. I agree that it is a perfectly told story. So that's the big question mark. But the director whose style that I like, the great thing about RoboCop, I think, and one of the reasons that it did so well was that it landed in the 80s at a time socially where there was a lot of room for satire, which it did perfectly. Just sort of the idea of super hyper nuclearization and consumerism and everything that movie had such great moments of satire about. I think that we are probably, again, just societally, and it happens in cycles, at the height for great satire again. When you have societal unrest, that's where you get great satire often. So there's a lot of things for me that are in the plus column. There's a few things in the minus column, but it's not like we're just going to remake RoboCop again and make it another digital detective movie. The fact that you've got Ed Neumeyer, and I'm not upset about this. I'm intensely curious about what's going to happen with this project.
Yeah, in the same way with the original RoboCop, Starship Troopers came in the 90s when we had just Desert Stormed and all that stuff, and people were very pro-military, and Starship Troopers I think was a response to that. And you've got to wonder if Neumeyer sort of saw the bat signal in a way and was like, you know what, I think this actually could land, and let's move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have feelings about RoboCop?
I agree with you very much that it's perfect. And also I think what they're trying to do though, it's I was really trying to come up with some term for this. The comic bookization of movies is what a lot of us balk against as true scenists. We smoke our long cigarettes and we look down on all these remakes. But basically, it's the comic bookization of movies. Batman has been a character for 50 damn years. Where our grandkids are going to be dead, and they're still going to be doing versions of that character.
Yeah.
Right? So, and somebody's got to do it.
Bieber's son.
Right.
There will be someone at this desk being like, is Bieber's son Batman?
Right.
Is Alan Bieber Batman?
Exactly. So basically, the bottom line is I think we have to just deal with it, and this is the best that we're going to see. It's almost like when you're trying to reconstitute a championship team, right? You reconstitute a championship team. Let's say you got to replace Dirk Nowitzki. You get another guy from Germany who shoots really good. Well, Neil Blomkamp is an outsider. Is a South African or something like that. So he basically is a foreigner in the same way that Paul Verhoeven was a foreign person that had that little jaundiced look at America, was able to get away from it and see how jokerized we actually are.
And then mirror it back, right?
Exactly.
Which is what, when you travel, you can do that about your own culture a little bit.
And in this case, you're bringing back key players from the original championship team, Neumeyer and Miner, putting those guys together, giving them more power than they had since the very first movie. And so in that respect, I feel as though obviously we're going to nitpick and go, oh, you shouldn't have picked that guy, you shouldn't have did this. But this is them trying to reconstitute a championship team, and it's the closest they'll get to the original formula. So I say, Dan, shake it up and let's go.
Do you guys think it'll be Weller? Are they going to Logan?
I mean, that's
old man RoboCop.
Are they going to Logan cop it?
He was such into, if you read about the RoboCop thing,
hashtag that, Logan Cop.
Logan Cop. He was such into the physicality of the role.
Yeah.
Like, he was a classically trained, like
and that's so
dancer,
what made
and,
that performance.
Yeah, not dancer, but he was a Juilliard trained actor who he took time off even after I think they started shooting to actually learn how to move. So much of that role for him was the physicality of it, and it was very difficult for him because of the suit. Obviously, things have probably changed, but I could see him saying, I don't know if
I can actually do this.
If I can bring to this role what I want to without just sort of being an imitation of what I did before. So
I do like that idea, though.
I like the idea if they can figure if he's into it. But
I mean, the organics would age. That's if they're doing a true blue sequel to the previous one,
which it sounds like they are. I don't know. That's sort of interesting.
So we're optimistic about the RoboCop sequel?
I think we are.
I am. It's got enough there for me to say they might actually be looking to make a good project here and not just cash in on the name, which I thought was what the last one.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. All four of us on this panel probably were betrayed on some level by the last version of it.
Oh, it was an absolute FU. I mean, it was a blatant disregard for it was careless. That movie was a carelessly made film. Oh, I could talk about that movie and how much I do not like it, but I won't rile myself up. I will say, I don't know where this was in the script earlier, but someone used the term Verhoeven Land, and I would be more excited about that as an amusement park than literally anything we've ever talked about on the show. And I would visit it.
I would go to Verhoeven Land.
I would go to Verhoeven Land.
Yeah, it'd be NC-17 in there, though.
That's ponchos. You're going to get sprayed down.
Disney is reshuffling the Indiana Jones 5 movie. It's delayed. Speaking of Logan Cop, it's pushed back the release of Indiana Jones 5 by 1 year to July 9th, 2021. The film was set to open on July 10th, 2020, but production has been delayed because of script issues. Steven Spielberg is set to direct the 5th outing of the classic adventure series that at least they're stopping. Jonathan Kasdan, who is the son of Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote Raiders, has been brought on to write the new draft. So, hey, they care. That's cool. It's exciting. They want to get the script right. That said, Harrison Ford is going to be 79 years old when this movie hits theaters. They're just, oh boy.
They're going to de-age him?
They're just working Harrison. Elsewhere at Disney. They have changed the title to Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2, which is even worse than anything. I still don't understand why it's not Ralph Wrecks the Internet. Why is it not that movie? Why is that not the title?
They made a joke about it in the trailer.
Yeah, it's Ralph Breaks the Internet is the new title, so...
I love when they make a joke to explain some mistake they obviously made. They're just like, hey, this isn't a mistake.
Funny?
Yeah. Somebody's kid was like, guys, it's not Rex, it's breaks you should just call it Rex.
Yeah.
Like, don't use our slang. And they're like, it's too late. We already spent
$500
million
so
on
much
that.
money on things.
We bought a font for that R for breaks.
Yeah. You literally only have to change 2 letters in that design.
And then it's Rex.
Breaks to Rex, but that's all right.
So Mary Poppins is moving up a week from December 25th to December 19th. That's cool. And Disney is moving up the release. This is an interesting little tidbit of an untitled Marvel title from July 30th, 2021 to February 12th, 2021, instead of an untitled live-action Disney movie. Thoughts? There's a lot of Disney bits.
Marvel movies
Disney
are
chunks.
live-action Disney movies, so I think that artificial distinction is weird.
I think that when they say live action Disney movie, I think they mean things like the live action.
Like Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
There's a lot of bits.
Disney
Any of
movies.
them strike you more than the others? What are
Before
we
we
charting?
get into Indiana Jones, I just want to say this is now the schedule for a 1-week period of December. Friday, December 14th, Mortal Engines and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, Wednesday, the 19th, Mary Poppins Returns.
Poor
And then
Mortal
Friday,
Engines.
the 21st, Alita Battle Angel, Aquaman, Bumblebee, Holmes and Watson, and Welcome to Marwen. Good luck.
Good
Because
luck.
they ain't all going to be hits. There's no way 8.
All right, let's do the Deadpool.
Yeah.
Let's do the Deadpool.
big
I got
releases.
Battle Angel Alita. She's dead.
Did they
Yeah.
move?
Oh,
Something's got to move,
Mortal
right? You have
Engines.
8 in a week.
We'll get
Like,
Mortal Engines.
Mortal Engines.
I get that it's the Christmas break, the holiday break, and that you can sustain more movies, than usual. But I mean, that's
a hell of a week.
lot of big release, and that's
too
not
many.
to mention something that might pop up or something that might be carrying over.
What are you calling? What are you calling?
I don't Mortal Engines.
Mortal
I hate to say,
Engines,
it's
yeah.
just I think that's going to be a tough sell.
And
it's opening against Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I think is
looks
going to
great.
open well.
What's
and
the Jack
then,
Black one?
The Jack Black one.
The not Goosebumps? When he's in the house?
Clock in the wall.
Is that?
Oh,
Oh, no,
that's
sorry.
in
What was the
Marvel.
last one on the list? I thought that was.
Oh, Welcome to
Welcome to
Marwen,
Marwen.
which is
that poor little Steve Carell movie.
kind
Oh,
of-
R.I.P. Welcome to Marwen.
Yeah, that's getting killed, and Battle
sad.
Alita's getting killed, and maybe Mortal Engines are getting get killed, and I think Mary Poppins is going to be like, you know what, standing on everybody's bodies, like,
Yeah.
one of those- yeah.
And
That's
you got
what
Will
I think-
Ferrell and
Poppins.
John C. Reilly doing Sherlock Holmes, and I mean, this is something's one or more of these is going to have to move.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Well,
right
we're
now.
Well, I
think we
think that's
called
why
the
they
right
moved
ones.
Mary Poppins up, so
Right.
that
Yeah.
they have a little more lead time to just force it into your head to go see Mary Poppins on Christmas.
They're not going to have to force it. I think you're right, Ed. Mary Poppins is going to kill in the other way. Like that movie is just going to make if it's good.
Which is
it's
also
just gonna
counter
make
programming.
She's
so
feeding a lot of
much
spoonfuls
money.
of sugar to a lot of lesser films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor
And just go,
little Welcome to Marwen. These other
Poor
films, I
Welcome
think
to
they're going to
Marwen.
have to move.
Something's going to have to move because I mean, this has been a great year. This has been a record-setting year so far, box office-wise. But at the same time, even with the holiday, you can only support so many. 4 maybe. I mean, last year we saw Last Jedi did all right, and Jumanji did good, and The Greatest Showman did well. But I mean,
Is there
that's
there
just a
room
lot.
for movies like Welcome to Marwen anymore? Like, I mean, if you can look in years past, and like Forrest Gump would have been buried
Oh, yeah.
by this week, films that a whole family can go see that aren't necessarily comic book movies or superhero movies or big massive Disney tentpoles. Like they all die.
That movie is a
under
tough
this.
sell too.
It
That's
really
not an
is.
easy. That's not even Forrest Gump. That's an easy movie to sell. Here's this guy. He takes a journey. He's
Tom
an underdog.
Hanks,
You're
and
gonna
it's
root
sweet.
for him. It's Tom Hanks. But
Yeah.
this is like Steve Carell, but not playing a comedic role, and he's playing a guy who makes. It's a real life story, but it's a guy who makes this city made of dolls, and part of it is the dolls, and part of it is like it's not an easy sell. And when you're competing with so much stuff, but they're not, they can't move that one because you can tell Universal really wants to position
Yeah.
that for award season, which means you've got to get it out before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
I mean,
I don't know.
Marwen is the type of movie, though. I gotta say, I applaud them trying to do that movie because it's the exact type of movie that you only get when you're Robert Zemeckis. Robert Zemeckis. People don't remember I think Robert Zemeckis even wrote this movie or wrote the screenplay or wrote on the screenplay for this movie. This is like really his baby.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's probably about to get slaughtered, but this is probably $100 million passion project with all that CG for all the dolls and mannequins and stuff.
Does not look cheap.
Yeah, this is a passion project that you only get to do when you've reached his status in the game. So I don't think we're actually lamenting the death of any sort of type of movie because Zemeckis did freaking Forrest Gump too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's shown us particular type of power that is only rivaled by people like Spielberg and them in regards to let's have a weird concept, let's make some money.
Which are oddly explorations of a man disregarded by society that are also strong character studies.
Yeah.
Bringing
true.
it full circle
Boom.
and closing out our show. Thank you, Joe Starr. Thank you.
I do what I
you
can.
guys do your Deadpool in the comments below. Also, watch Honest Trailers and the commentaries. There's a movie fights tomorrow battle for the #1 contender, Ed Greer.
Who's fighting Cucumber?
Versus Dan Merle
Who's fighting
versus
Cucumber?
Coy Jandro. Who's going to fight that puppet? Ed.
Felted friend. Whoa.
I made the
Felted
mistake.
jeez
friend. Felted
Louise.
friend. I'm
Yesterday.
sorry.
I think you're on the wrong side of history on that one.
Yeah.
I am. Also, hey, we're going to be at SDCC, San Diego Comic-Con all next week. We're going to be starting our live show from there on Thursday. We're going to report on all the things at the con, all the stuff that you tell us what you want us to report on, because I mean, frankly, we're struggling for ideas. So yeah, just leave those in the comments below, and we'll
Are
just
we?
use that.
I thought we had too many ideas.
We're fine. We're gonna have a great show. You should tune into all of our coverage. Jokes, man, just jokes. If you're in San Diego, come to our panel. It's Thursday night at 7:15 in room 6BCF. 6BCF.
Please come.
6BC.
We're really-
By far
Okay,
the
this
biggest
is-
room we've ever played.
This is legitimate.
clap.
Oh wow, yeah.
This is legitimate.
Yeah.
We are a little worried about that. Please come see us, hang out, give us a hug. You know,
3,000 seat room, people.
is it 3?
Make it or break
They
it.
tried to put us in ballroom 20, and we were like,
No!
we're very flattered by that, and thank you so much. But is there
please,
anything a little smaller?
Yeah, no, when I
Still
saw
very big though. So
Yeah,
please
it's
come
gonna be
and
a
see
great panel though. We're gonna have an Honest trailer reveal. There will be movie fights there. Joe Starr's cooking up some stuff with Billy the Business. They're making things. It's gonna be very entertaining. I don't know what they are. But
be a good show, though.
I have faith in you, and it's gonna be a great show. So you should come. You should watch our coverage out of Comic-Con, and we love you. Goodbye.
Forever.
Wow, shit.